The Stalker's Obsession. John's life took a dark turn as the stalker's obsession intensified. He installed security cameras, changed his locks, and even sought assistance from the local authorities. But the elusive stalker always seemed one step ahead. The anonymous phone calls became more frequent, filled with disturbing messages that revealed an intimate knowledge of John's daily routines. The stalker's actions escalated to brazen intrusions. John would wake up in the middle of the night, feeling a presence in his room, only to find the stalker standing at the foot of his bed, watching him with an unhinged gaze. Fear and paranoia consumed John, who became a prisoner in his own home. Desperate for answers and a way to regain control, John hired a private investigator. The investigator delved deep into the stalker's twisted world, uncovering a trail of past victims and the extent of their torment. It was clear that this was not an ordinary infatuation. It was a deranged fixation fueled by an insatiable desire to possess John. As the investigation progressed, the private investigator discovered the stalker's lair hidden beneath an abandoned warehouse. The walls were plastered with photographs of John, newspaper clippings, and cryptic messages scrawled in red ink. It was a chilling testament to the stalker's delusional state of mind. Armed with the evidence, the private investigator and the police devised a plan to capture the stalker. They set up surveillance, hoping to catch the culprit in the act. Late one night, as John lay awake, consumed by fear, the trap was sprung. The police stormed into the house, apprehending the stalker in a dramatic confrontation. The stalker, a disheveled and gaunt figure, revealed a disturbing obsession with John's life. In their possession were diaries detailing every aspect of John's daily routine, including private thoughts and intimate moments. The stalker had meticulously cataloged John's existence, creating an alternate reality in which they were inseparable. The court case that followed exposed the depths of the stalker's madness. Psychological evaluations revealed a severe personality disorder and an inability to distinguish between reality and their twisted fantasies. John, scared by the experience, faced a long road to recovery, haunted by the memories of the invasion of his privacy and the loss of his sense of security. In a small town nestled deep within a dense forest, a young couple, which we will call Sarah and Michael, decided to spend a weekend getaway in a secluded cabin. The cabin had a mysterious history, with rumors of unexplained disappearances and eerie happenings surrounding it. On their first night, as they sat by the crackling fireplace, they heard a faint scratching sound coming from the attic. Ignoring it at first, they attributed it to a wandering animal. But as the scratching persisted, growing louder and more distinct, they couldn't ignore it any longer. Curiosity mixed with fear, they decided to investigate. Slowly, Michael pulled down the hatch, and as they ascended the stairs, tension filled the air. They entered a dimly lit room filled with dusty furniture and forgotten belongings. An unsettling chill ran down their spines. Their eyes widened with horror as they saw a tattered bed that seemed to have been recently used, lying in the corner. Sarah's hands trembled as she picked up a picture of herself that was resting on a table. Both of them felt confusion and fear creeping in as they made their way towards the stairs. Suddenly, the atmosphere changed, and they became very still. Heavy footsteps echoed into the attic, growing closer and closer. They watched in disbelief as the attic hatch closed right in front of them. Sarah managed to catch a glimpse of a man holding something in his hands before they were plunged into darkness. Realizing they were trapped, their hearts pounding with fear, they desperately searched for a way to escape. Michael noticed a window and quickly picked up a nearby book to break it open. They climbed through the shattered glass, leaving behind their keys and any hope of using their car to escape. As they started running on the worn-down road to find a place with cell phone service, they heard a car engine roar to life behind them. They glanced back, their hearts sinking as they recognized the man from the attic chasing them in his vehicle. Panic set in, and they knew they had no choice but to flee into the surrounding forest. As they sprinted, branches lashed against their bodies, leaving them scratched and bloodied. Fear fueled their adrenaline as they pushed themselves to their limits, determined to outrun the relentless pursuer who was closing in on them. In their frantic escape, they stumbled upon an old, dilapidated shed. With no other options, they burst inside and slammed the door shut behind them, seeking a momentary refuge. The shed offered little comfort, its windows cracked, and the walls coated in grime. Breathing heavily, they peered through the grimy windows, hoping to catch a glimpse of their pursuer. Moments later, they saw a figure emerge from the forest, brandishing a gleaming knife. It was a man dressed in tattered clothing, his face contorted with a sinister grin. Realizing they were still in danger, they frantically searched the shed for any means of defense. Their trembling hands found a rusted shovel tucked away in a corner. Though it was far from ideal, they knew they had to make do with what they had. The relentless pursuer reached the shed, pounding on the door with ferocity. They huddled together, clutching the shovel tightly, their hearts pounding in their chests. With a final, thunderous crash, the door splintered, revealing the man with the knife standing before them. His eyes glinted with madness as he lunged toward them, the blade gleaming in the dim light. Summoning their last reserves of strength, Michael swung the shovel with all his might, connecting with the intruder's arm. The man howled in pain, dropping the knife as he clutched his injured limb. Seizing the opportunity, they bolted past the stunned man and raced through the forest once more, their bodies battered and bruised. They didn't dare look back, their only focus on putting as much distance as possible between them and their relentless pursuer. Hours later, they stumbled upon a nearby road, their bodies exhausted and their spirits shaken. A passing car stopped to help them, their kind gestures providing a glimmer of hope amidst the terror they had endured. They explained their harrowing ordeal to the authorities, and a search party was dispatched to investigate. When the police arrived at the shed, they found no trace of the man or his knife. It was as if he had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only the shattered remnants of the door as evidence of their terrifying encounter. Sarah and Michael emerged from their ordeal forever changed. The scars, both physical and emotional, would serve as a haunting reminder of the dangers that lurked within the depths of the forest. They warned others to tread cautiously, for there were dark forces at play, waiting to unleash unimaginable horrors upon those who dared to venture too close. In the heart of a dense and secluded forest, a group of friends embarked on a weekend camping trip, seeking solace in the embrace of nature. Little did they know that their venture into the wilderness would lead them into the clutches of a dark and malevolent presence. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the campsite, the group huddled around the flickering flames of their campfire. Laughter and camaraderie filled the air as stories were shared and marshmallows roasted. But with the arrival of midnight, an unnerving stillness settled upon the forest, as if the very woods held their breath in anticipation. Suddenly, a bone-chilling gust of wind whipped through the trees, extinguishing the campfire in an instant. The friends' mirth turned to unease as a suffocating darkness enveloped the campsite, shrouding it in an impenetrable veil. The atmosphere crackled with an otherworldly energy, and an unsettling presence loomed just beyond the edge of perception. A hush fell over the group as they strained their senses, searching for any sign of what lurked in the shadows. The crackle of leaves underfoot sent shivers down their spines, and the distant howl of a wolf echoed through the night, raising the hairs on the back of their necks. Without warning, a figure emerged from the inky blackness, its silhouette distorted and twisted. The friends gasped in horror as the dark entity, emanating an icy aura, approached their campsite with calculated steps. Its eyes burned like smoldering coals, fixated upon the unsuspecting group with a sinister hunger. Fear gripped their hearts as the figure unleashed a barrage of attacks. It moved with unnatural speed, striking like a specter